We are focusing on menopause, and I am joined in the next session by Professor Donal O'Gorman. He is the COO and co-founder of identifyHer. This is machine learning for objective symptom detection. And as you can see from the presentation, where perimenopause meets progress. I'm just going to steal a little bit of his thunder and say, 50% of the population, underserved population, and here's something that's looking to address it. Excited to learn more. Over to you, Professor O'Gorman.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to present here today to this audience. I suppose it's a new use of technology, and I look forward to sharing a bit of our journey. And I suppose part of the background for this is to share our use case and how we are using technology for a very new but very important purpose. So Peri is the first product of identifyHer, and it's a first of its kind wearable device that can accurately and objectively detect the symptoms women experience as they transition through perimenopause. The mission of Peri is to help women understand how their bodies change over time and to empower them with knowledge and information that will help them to better manage the symptoms that they experience. I'm one of the co-founders of identifyHer, as Nick has outlined. My background was as an academic in a university where I was based for more than 20 years. My work was predominantly around the study of metabolism, in particular around the prevention and the prediction of chronic diseases. And as part of that work, obviously there was a heavy research program. During that, you come across some extraordinary people. And one of these extraordinary people that I came across was Heidi Davis. And we continued the conversations that we had about science and our shared vision, which led ultimately to the creation and the development of identifyHer as a company. Something that's totally different to the work that I was originally involved in. But with Heidi, with such a strong background in nutrition and molecular medicine, and having worked as a startup company using AI for peptide discovery, we both evolved in a journey that took us away from our primary source of skills, but brought us to women's health. And I subsequently left my position as an academic to focus solely on this because I believe of the importance and the exciting area that it is in. We're also supported by some very renowned advisors, including John Carr, who's a former vice president of Flextronics, who has been really fantastic with us in terms of supply chain and consumer electronics. Liam Casey, who's the CEO of PCH, and Dr. Claire Spencer, who's a menopause specialist based in the UK also. As Nick has outlined, for too long, the healthcare needs of women really have been underserved and not addressed. And that's largely, I think, because our healthcare system has evolved really to be a disease management system. But many of the healthcare needs of women don't revolve around disease. They focus around different aspects of life. I think historically, we could all agree that our healthcare system has largely been devised by men and with men as the primary participants, for example, in clinical trials. But what we also do know is that in some conditions, the risk of disease can differ between men and women. The symptoms can differ between men and women. And it is documented that the adverse event profile of many drugs is also different between men and women. So therefore, it's not terribly surprising that there are cases where certain conditions are underdiagnosed or where the treatment for women is maybe not as effective or as optimal as it would be and as it could be. So we have to address these gaps. And I think this is an emerging area. The whole area of women's health has been awoken. And in many respects, it requires a whole new system to be able to accelerate the development so that we can get up to speed exactly to meet the needs of women and, of course, of men as we go forward. But there's just such a greater need to put an emphasis on women at this time in order to be able to catch up. Our focus is on perimenopause. And again, it's such a pivotal phase in the life of a woman, marking the transition between reproductive and non-reproductive years. During this time, women experience a very broad range of symptoms. These symptoms can vary from woman to woman, but also they can vary across time. And so therefore, it can be very difficult to identify and to even understand, for women to understand themselves, what is happening in their body and how that is changing over time.